Thanks for checking out this video. So this is 10 things I'm a sucker for in horror movies. I thought this would just be fun. I've really been looking forward to doing this video because I'm going to be talking about 10 things that excite me in horror movies. And I know all of you have things that excite you about horror movies. It's those certain things where if you see it or if you hear about it in a particular movie, you're like, I'm now very compelled to watch this. Or if you are watching it, I'm now so in love with this. So if you have those things, please comment, let me know. I'm always very interested in what people's specific interests are in. Maybe it's a whole subgenre, or maybe it's just a little thematic thing, or just other small odd things, because some of mine are small odd things. But let's get into that. Oh, also, since I was already asking for comments, might as well say, please do me a favor, hit subscribe to my channel if you like this video or any video I've ever done. Literally, that's the best way to repay me for all the free content. I do appreciate that, too. Also, hit the notification bell button, because then you know when I'm putting up videos. And also, you can do the liking on videos if you want to as well. But anyway, let's talk about the 10 things that I'm a sucker for in horror movies. First one, it's set on or around Halloween. I have a feeling this is a pretty common one for people. I like things spooky all year. I like to watch horror movies all year, and I do. But it feels even more fun. It feels even more interesting. It feels even more of the season when it's Halloween related. So when I am watching horror movies in October, they feel even more fun than if I watch them any other month. And just like that, if in a movie it takes place on or around Halloween, it just feels more fun. It feels more special. It feels like it's that direct connection to my favorite holiday, and I'm sure a lot of you's favorite holidays as well. So that's my number one, or not really number one. I'm not ranking these, but that's my first one that I came up with, is happens on or around Halloween. So my next one is has horrible acting, and these aren't in any particular order, by the way. Has horrible acting. If people have been watching my channel long enough, you know I'm a very big fan of So Bad It's Good movies, especially So Bad It's Good horror movies. So it's not all horrible acting, though. Like, some horrible acting is so bad that it's just totally inept and it actually ruins the movie. But there's that fun horrible acting where you can tell someone's just really going for it. They were doing what they could, but it's just not coming out right. Or they're overacting and it's so horrible, things like that. You know, think stuff like Spookies. You know, the acting in Spookies just really helps out with the enjoyment of that film. Just because I watched it recently, it's not really horror, but has murder involved in it. Tough Guys Don't Dance is another great example. Probably the perfect example. It's not horror, but it is probably the perfect example of So Bad It's Good acting is The Room, one of my favorite movies of all time. Yes, I said that. Love Tommy Wiseau's masterpiece. But yeah, horrible acting, super fun to me. It just keeps things light and fun, you know? So my next one is takes place in a sleepy seaside town. And that actually connects directly to a movie I just said, Tough Guys Don't Dance, actually. As soon as those credits started in the beginning and it's showing, it was in Provincetown. As soon as it's showing Provincetown, I'm just like, I'm sold, I'm in. Or Dead and Buried, the film Dead and Buried, that's another one. You know, Jaws, things like that. Sleepy seaside towns always get me. I don't know what it is. I think it's just like, I like the calmness of the towns. I like usually what the architecture looks like there. And the fact that you have these streets with all these interesting looking houses just running right up to the ocean. And it just looks beautiful. It's very interesting. And it's a wonderful setting. And I really don't think there are enough horror movies set in sleepy seaside towns. So, yeah, I love it. It's something that definitely makes me feel cozy when I watch a horror movie. So, takes place in a sleepy seaside town had to be on my list. So next is takes place on a college campus. I think my big reason for this one is that I went to college and I had a great time in college. It was a wonderful time, met a lot of great people, had a lot of great times, and it's nostalgic for me. You know, seeing a horror movie in that setting kind of relates to me more, and it makes it feel more personal because I've been to a similar place. And it also makes me think, you know, what if this had happened on the campus I was on? You know, it's those types of things. It just feels cozy, you know? Whenever it's something that you've gone through in your life, it just automatically connects with you a lot better. So That's one of the reasons I really like when they take place on a college campus. Sometimes high school as well. I didn't have as great a time in high school as I did in college, but it wasn't bad. It was fine. So sometimes high school movies are fine. All right, so my next one is Jaws ripoffs. If the film rips off the movie Jaws, I have been in love with Jaws ripoff movies. I mean, Alligator, Grizzly, those are some of the best ones, and some of the worst ones like Blades, that was put out by Troma. That one, I still love it because there are scenes lifted directly from Jaws. And one of the big things is Jaws is such an amazing movie. And to see parodies, to see spoofs of it, it's just extra fun to me because it's reminding me of the amazingness of Jaws, but with a fun, quirky parody-like twist on it. And it's great. It's kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. And I think a lot of that comes from my childhood. I love Weird Al Yankovic. I have loved Weird Al for a long time. Kind of grew up listening to him as a young child. And I think that kind of set me up for loving parody things, loving things that kind of take something serious and make it not serious, or just, take it to absurd levels. So I think that's where that kind of started. So Jaws ripoffs movies is one. The next one is it features interesting architecture. I kind of already hit on this when I was talking about Sleepy Seaside Towns, but most of all, this really hits me with giallo films, typically. And other films, it's usually more like foreign films, like not in the United States. Although there are some movies in the US where they do find some really interesting architecture. I don't know what it is about me, but architecture is just super interesting to me. I think maybe it's because where I live and where I have lived in my life, a lot of the houses are very kind of cookie cutter. A lot of them look very much the same. So like seeing drastically different architecture in any type of building really is just interesting to me because it is something I didn't know about. Like I've seen the same designs a lot in my life, and I'm just used to seeing structures a certain way. So if I'm seeing it differently, it kind of is just this discovery in a sense for me. Now, I can't fully explain it, but I don't know. It's just something that I really find like fun and interesting, and man, that's nerdy, but I really like it. So has interesting architecture is one of them. My next one is the killer has an interesting mask design. I think this is probably one for a lot of people, though. Jason from Friday the 13th, I think, started that, where people are like, ooh, that's an interesting thing to do, use a hockey mask, because it actually looks kind of scary, but no one had really thought about that prior to Jason using the mask. But prior to that, it was a hockey, it was a goalie mask for hockey. So I love those types of things, like finding interesting ones. One of the other ones I really love is like David Cronenberg's character in Nightbreed. That one looks like really funky and interesting. It's just, I guess, kind of going back to the architectural thing. Interesting design, things that I haven't seen before, especially when it has a really scary aspect to it. Another good one is Behind the Mask, the Rise of Leslie Vernon. Another great one, even though it's very simplistic, would be Sam in Trick or Treat. I know it's a burlap sack, but you can take something, simplistic like that and, put those button eyes on it, and they just executed it in such a creepy manner. But yeah, I love it. So Interesting Masks is definitely on my list. The next on my list is has characters that break stereotype in an interesting way. I'm not the type of person who, especially for new films, is totally sold on just having the same stock characters, the same characters who you feel like you've seen a million times. Now, for older movies that I'm watching, fine, because I understand that that's kind of what they were doing then. But for newer horror films, I want to see someone doing something different. I want to see the stoner who's actually really smart and ends up surviving, like in The Cabin in the Woods. Stuff like that is what I'm referring to. I love that surprise element, where it lulls you in being like, oh, I feel like I know who this character is based off of tropes that we've seen before, and then it just gets flipped on its head, and you're just like, whoa, because who doesn't like being surprised like that in a movie? It just makes it a lot more fun. I don't want to have all my expectations met when I go into a movie. I want to have them blown away in one way or another, even in a small way. So yeah, has characters that break stereotypes. Then the third to last one has powerful and emotional inner dialogue voiceovers. I know a lot of people don't like voiceovers, but for me, I actually really like it when it's so personal with the character and they're going really deep into what they're actually feeling and going through. I think it can really be enhancing for a scene. I'm trying to think of a great I mean, obviously, like Fight Club does it extremely well with the insight into the character of Jack and the emotions that are being felt and everything that's going on with that. So that's one of the prime examples, in my opinion. It doesn't work a lot of the time, but when it does work, it is something I really love, just because it feels extra personal, because it feels like you literally are like inside the head of the main character, and that's just kind of special. It kind of bonds me to the character more. All right, second to last one is it's highly metaphorical, so you have to take time to think it over. And when I'm talking about this, I'm talking mainly about, like The Shining is a really good one where you're kind of thinking about the trauma that's gone on with that and, what's really at the root of everything that's going on with the family dynamics in the movie. Thinking of more recent things like Midsommar, or Hereditary even. Hereditary literally is like a puzzle where you're not getting everything straightforward, and then the movie ends and you're stuck there thinking, but what did it all mean? Like, what led to this, led to this, led to this? And you literally are trying to, like, reorder scenes in your head and events in your head in order to piece that puzzle together. I love that type of stuff. I'm a puzzle person. I've always enjoyed puzzles in different forms. So I think that's one of the reasons that I really like that, when they give you enough to figure it out. So yeah. Also, I should say at this point with the whole puzzle thing, and it relates to this, I have done the subscription service Hunt a Killer, if anyone has done that, where you literally get like fake information on murders and you have to solve the crime. Satisfies that puzzle interest that I have. I've always also just really been into like complex games, like card and board games, so I think that has something to play with it as well. And the last thing, stop motion animation. I love stop motion animation, even new stop motion animation done nowadays, but old school style. It's the artistry of it and the fact that I know how long that takes to do. That is painstaking. That is art, and it is painstaking, and I have so much appreciation for it. And I just think it looks super cool when it all comes together. Yeah, it's not totally smooth, but there's something about it, the movement like not being smooth, that makes it more interesting to me. So when a movie like Phil Tippett's Mad God came out, I was just in awe. And that's a movie that I can put on and just watch and just be mesmerized by it, because it's very intricately made. Like a lot of the set pieces or the set design has a lot of, small things that you can keep seeing in it every single time you see the movie, like new stuff. But also I just spend the whole time thinking, man, that must have taken so long to make. Man, that's such dedication. And it just looks wonderful. It's amazing pieces of art. And I think that's a lot of what it comes down to. So that's my last one, is stop motion animation. But those are my 10. Those are my 10 things I am 100% a sucker for in horror movies. And that's actually a lot of things that can kind of suck me in. But again, I would love to hear from you. Go ahead and put in the comments what you're a sucker for, and not just necessarily in horror movies. If you want to talk about other movies too, that's totally fine. Because, it's primarily about horror here, but, we can talk about other stuff too. That's totally fine. But again, subscribe to my channel if you would. Please hit subscribe or hit the notification bell button. If you want to hit the like, you can do that too. But this has been an awesome video. Thank you so much for watching it. I had a lot of fun with this. And until next time, keep it brutal.